What's going on, Good Success family? I'm your host, Jahleel Vester. I'm a coach, I'm a speaker with the heart of a teacher. And today I want to tell you just a bunch of mini short stories, just some things that have been bubbling on my mind. I got done with wrestling practice today with my kids. We're getting close to the postseason. And I've got a message for wrestlers and my guys getting close to the postseason, just some things that they should be thinking about. But I want to start with a story of some of my kids that were on my grades list, okay? I don't like it when I get kids on my grades list because that means that we're failing our academics, and that is not what we do. And it's crazy to me sometimes when I see them starting to excel on the mat, but then academically, we're failing. One time I had one of my wrestlers who was on my grades list, and he had multiple Fs, but he's starting to find some success on the mat. But then he got into this position where he was academically ineligible to compete. So I just simply asked him, I was just like, God, what do I say to this kid? Because he's resilient. He's going through a lot of things at home, but I want to see him grow. What do I even say to this kid? And God just gave it to me so simply. And I asked him, I said, are you a failure? No, coach, I'm not a failure. So why are you failing? He said, that's fair. I said, thank you. Get your grades up. It was a very short and sweet conversation. I had a conversation with a couple of other kids just most recently, very fresh off the dome, and I had to share with them. I had to level with them. There are some times that your best effort is not going to produce the results that you want. And you know what? That's the truth of life. There are times where you're going to give everything you've got, and your best is just not good enough. And you know what? That is the result of life. It happens that way sometimes. There was a few different classes actually in my college career, microeconomics, macroeconomics, and this other class, corporate finance, that I just struggled in. I had a hard time, but I remember corporate finance specifically because at that point, I learned to associate myself with the smart kids. I'm meeting with some of them to have study groups. I'm talking to the professor after class. I'm talking to the professor before class. I'm asking follow-up questions. I'm just trying to figure out, what do I do to be successful in this class? And I squeezed out a C at the end of the finals week. And it was like, you know what? I was just proud of that C because it was hard. And so I shared this with them to let them know that, look, not every subject that you encounter is going to come easy to you. But something that you can do is increase your effort. If you increase your effort, you'll increase your results. So when I was talking to one of my young men, I told him, look, success requires sacrifice. Success requires sacrifice. Maybe you need to talk to your girlfriend for 10 less minutes. Maybe you need to watch 10 less minutes of Netflix. Maybe you need to play 10 less minutes of video games. If you sacrifice in those three areas 10 minutes, how much time is that going to give you? 30 minutes. That's 30 minutes that you can be working on your math class. Have you tapped into your resources? Shout out to Khan Academy, Khan Academy. I said, go get your phone. He went and got his phone. I said, pull up YouTube. Pulled up YouTube. I said, search Khan Academy. He searches Khan Academy. I said, search Khan Academy algebra. He starts scrolling, and what do you know? I said, is there any of those videos that you see there that would be helpful to you? He found one. I said, go ahead and take this time during practice and work on that because I'm so serious. I want him to succeed, not just on the mat, but in life. And sometimes the things that you want are going to require more of you than you originally wanted to give. So you got to give your best effort if you want to have a chance at success, because success is not promised. It is not promised. Hollywood has really messed up a lot of us because in 2 hours, you see a hero emerge, struggle, succeed, and then win everything that they wanted to win. That's the typical story arc of the Hollywood films that have been indoctrinating our society. And some of them are great. You know, Hollywood has done a great job at telling some stories that have really inspired people. But there's a lot of those Cinderella type stories that just don't align with reality. Sometimes your good is not good enough. And you know what? That's okay. What you are responsible to do is give your best effort. Because if you give your best effort, The people that see you trying, they're going to want to give energy to help you come up. And then you know what? I might even backtrack myself just slightly, because there are a lot of things. I'll say this: there are a lot of things in a lot of areas that if you increase your efforts, you will increase your odds of succeeding. So I want to hold both of those things in tandem. Sometimes your good is just not good enough, so you got to figure out how to be great at that thing. Increase the effort, make the sacrifices, because at the end of the day, if you don't have any regrets, that's the key. If you don't have any regrets, that's the place that you want to be. The results don't matter. And honestly, I tell my wrestlers this a lot too, because I want to free them up as they compete to understand that success in this sport is wrestling hard, wrestling smart, and wrestling so that at the end of your match, you have no regrets. If you have no regrets, no matter the result, you were successful. And so whatever you're doing, maybe you're not doing something on the mat. Maybe you're not a wrestler on the mat, but maybe you're wrestling with something in life. Maybe you're wrestling in your career. Maybe you're wrestling in your marriage. And you want to find success. All right? What you've got to do is give maximum effort to that thing. And maybe you think, oh, Jahleel, I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying the hardest I can. Are you? Is there something more that you can be doing? Is there another resource that you could be tapping into? Those are questions you've got to consider. Do you have no regrets? Did you end the day with no regrets? Did you try and exhaust every option? Did you tap into every resource? Are you really trying as hard as you can possibly try? You got to be honest with yourself, because you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to know. You are going to know. So I want to move forward. Those were my guys that inspired the beginning part of this conversation, because success requires sacrifice, and that's the bottom line. That's the moral of that story. Success requires sacrifice. You may not be where you want to be, but gosh darn it, you don't have to stay there. You do not have to stay there. All you got to do is start tapping in, lean in, extra effort. All right, tap in, more resources. Try harder, do your research, work smarter, re-strategize, refocus. Don't give up, don't quit, keep going, and you're going to get there. All right, so back to some of my wrestlers finishing up their wrestling season. Some of the things that I was talking to my guys about considering, especially as we wind down, is cleanliness, for one, right? I want them showering. I want them shout out to Defense Soap, making sure that they're doing all those little things right to make sure their bodies are clean and they're feeling good and they don't have extra fungi growing on them. You know what I'm saying? Stretching, taking care of their health, taking care of their bodies. Here's the cool thing about the sport of wrestling. After you've wrestled, so it's one of the longer sports in college athletics, because you start in November, you end in February. It's a 4-month sport, if I'm counting that correctly. And which is longer than most of the other ones. So they're in a high contact sport competing against opponents from across the state. So they're going to get battered, they're going to get bruised. And you know what? Like, oh, my arm hurts, my elbow hurts, all these other things. And here's the good news. Here's the good news I'm telling my guys, right? Everybody else is hurting too. You got this ankle thing. You got that elbow thing. You got that neck thing. You got that rib thing. All right, and guess what? So does everybody else. That other opponent across the mat from you might be this close to breaking. They might be this close. And all you got to do is push them just a little bit more. The real question at this time of the season is, do you want it? Do you want it? How bad do you want it? The game right now, postseason, I mean, all the skills that need to be developed have been developed by this point in the season. So really the question now is, how bad do you want it? Are you going to wrestle smart, and are you going to avoid letting the lights get too bright for you? All right, for us in the state of Washington, we wrestle our state tournament in the Tacoma Dome. And I truly believe that the lights take out more wrestlers than wrestlers do. The lights, it's the environment, the anticipation. Some of these kids wrestle all season just hoping to get to the tournament so that when they get to the tournament, subconsciously, they're checked out. They're not ready to go. They're not ready to rock. They're not thinking about, hey, what kind of hardware can I get? How high on the podium can I walk by the time I get out of this thing? No, they, in their mind, they said, I've made it. I made it to the tournament. I'm done. So all you got to do is wrestle smart, wrestle aggressive, and put that guy's face in the mat. Maybe they're one mat return away from breaking. Maybe they're one takedown away from breaking. Maybe they're one escape attempt away from breaking. You just don't know. Both of you are banged up. Both of you have wrestled. Both of you have practiced every day. So who wants it more? Who's willing to work? Another thing I like to tell them, 15 seconds at a time. We wrestle 15 seconds at a time. That's all you can do. It's all you can do. 6 minutes. If you're at the college level, 7 minutes. 6 minutes. 15 seconds at a time. That's all you can do. That's all that's in your control. No more, no less. So you focus on that. You don't size up your opponent. You don't predetermine the match results in your head based on statistics. No one cares. If you're watching college athletics this year, all the smart people that had the rankings dialed in, they were wrong. They're wrong. The teams that weren't ranked in the top 4 in college athletics, they didn't get the memo. For some reason, they believed that they were better than what all the statisticians were talking about, and they proved everybody wrong. Ohio State, I believe, they're the ones that came home with the dub this year, and they were not ranked number 1. They were not ranked number 1, and guess what? They did not care. So as you're going to the postseason, don't build storylines that are not going to be feeding your success. Don't build unproductive storylines. That's how I want to say that. Do not build unproductive storylines. Reduce expectation in the sense of keeping things simple. You're doing the same thing. Your goal is the same. You're wrestling the same amount of time with the goal to beat an opponent that steps across the mat from you. You keep it simple. You wrestle hard. Wrestle to score. We do not wrestle not to lose. We wrestle to win. I'll tell you a story of I was coaching at my alma mater high school at one point in time, and then I moved closer to the city of Seattle and started coaching at the high school that I'm coaching at now, Mountain Lake Terrace High School. And it was so interesting. A few years ago, we're at the state tournament, and I find myself coaching against the coaches that coached me back in the day. One of my kids is on the mat wrestling one of the kids that I coached back when I was at my alma mater high school, Oak Harbor High School. And my guy, I mean, it's a neck and neck match. It was really good. They're both kids that I care about, so it was a very surreal moment. And my kid ends up losing in the last 30 seconds of the match. Painful, painful, painful to watch it happen. But what happened was he was the more skilled wrestler. Quite frankly, he was the more skilled wrestler. He had a lot more attacks on his feet. He was more competent on top. He had a lot more moves and motion on bottom, except for the last 30 seconds when he locked up. And the other wrestler, I always knew he had the heart of a lion. He didn't care who he was competing against. He worked and he worked and he worked. He literally worked his way into the state tournament. It wasn't by a bunch of skill. It wasn't by a bunch of technique. I believe it was straight work ethic and a couple of moves that he knew really well that got him to that got him as far as it got him in the state tournament where he's wrestling against my guy. And my guy, he ends up locking up. He starts wrestling not to lose. He stops moving. He stops looking to score at every moment. And the other wrestler from Oak Harbor, he made it happen. He made it happen. Earned his escape, held my guy down, and that was a wrap. It was a 1-point victory. Super, super tight. But you know what? That's what happens when you lose focus of the goal. Always be looking to score. So if you're not a wrestler and you're watching this video, how does this apply to your life? You can always be looking to score at work. What's the next thing that you need to score in? What is a score for you? Is it a phone call? Is it a note card? Is it a pop by? Is it landing another meeting? Is it an effort? Is it another outreach? Maybe you're talking about your relationships. That could be ironic, quite saying always looking to score, but maybe you could be looking to score deposit points in your partner's heart, right? Is it washing the dishes for them? Is it asking them, honey, how can I take care of you today? What have you been experiencing this week that I can take a load off for you? How can I serve you this week? Look to make deposits in your spouse's life, in your partner's life, whoever you're with. All right. always be looking to score points. You're always looking to score points. All right? And if you're always looking to score, it means that you're focused on effort. You're focused on what you can do. The second that you start wrestling not to lose in life, you're playing defensive. You're playing defensive. And defense, and they say defense wins games. However, you got to put points on the board, right? You got to move forward in some kind of capacity. So if you're always looking to score, then you're more likely to score. It's very simple. It's very simple. So to my wrestlers, to my good success people that are pursuing success in their life, I would just encourage you all, keep moving forward, keep working hard. Success requires sacrifice. Always be looking to score and keep the game simple. Control what you can control. 15 seconds at a time when it comes to wrestling. It's 15 minutes at a time when it comes to work. All right? Keep it simple. Do what you can do. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. Take care of the little things. To my wrestlers, postseason, we're getting close to it. Wash your bodies. Stretch out. All right? Stretch before practice. Stretch after practice. Stretch after you get out the shower. Take care of your bodies. Eat clean. Fruits, vegetables, berries. Drink water. Reduce your sugars. All right? Do the little things that you can do to take care of yourself. All right? And that honestly applies to my wrestlers and to just my real lifers. All right? Do the little things that you can do to take care of yourself. If you take care of the little things, the big things will take care of you. All right? So, again, my name is Jahleel Vester. I'm a coach. I'm a speaker with the heart of a teacher. And check out my Good Success podcast. Put out the first post. Had our first guest, who is an amazing woman, very smart, very intellectual. She also happens to be my mother. And that podcast was awesome. I've been getting really, really just very kind and meaningful text messages and notes on Instagram and things about the podcast. So I'm grateful about just the first episode and where it's going to go. And I've already got my second guest lined up. So we're going to be producing that likely this weekend. And you should be seeing that uploaded in early next week. So first week of February, so 2025, if you're watching this video at this time. So again, work hard. Success requires sacrifice. Keep going, keep striving, keep persevering. You will make it. You will make it. And you don't have to fake it until you make it. All right? You just got to keep going. You just got to keep going. Keep putting one foot in front of the next, one foot in front of the next, and eventually you're going to walk yourself to your destination. All right? My name is Jahleel Vester. Thanks for rocking with me. I'll see you soon on the next one.